A scout is reverent. That is in both the scout law and the scout oath. It's phrased a little bit different in the scout oath. It's to do my duty to God. But either way, the main principle stays the same. When scouting was first started, there were very few restrictions besides being a boy, and you had to be religious. Eventually, they changed that rule, so now you can be atheist and join Boy Scouts, but at its core, Boy Scouts has a deep tie to religion, and not necessarily any religion in particular, just a sense of religion, and that probably has to do with the ties of religion and morality, and Boy Scouts is kind of it teaches a set of values that are kind of instilled in every single religion. So basically, there are programs for every single religion out there, since scouting is a worldwide movement, particularly here in America, because there are so many diverse cultures and religions. You can be a Mormon and do your own religious program. You can be Catholic, you can be Eastern Orthodox, you can be Protestant, you can be Muslim, you can be Buddhist, you can be Baha'i, you can be Hindu. Pretty much every religion has their own version of this thing. This is the Catholic Religious Medal Adultari Day. It's the first of a two-part process. This one is for younger scouts who have just gone, Catholic scouts who have just gone through their first, or their confirmation, which is their full induction into the church. And so that's the point where you've conceivably done pretty much all the sacraments you're going to do unless you become a priest or get married. But the point of the badge, as mentioned in the text, is to discuss how the seven sacraments are related to living the Scout oath and law in a daily life. It was interesting. Our sponsor for Troop 2 was St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church, but for the most part, most of our members weren't actually Catholic. We had a lot of Protestant members, a lot of Lutherans, and there were very few Catholics. But even though there were a lot of religious people, I think there was only one atheist in our troop, there weren't that many people who did or participated in the religious emblem program. In fact, I found out about it when I was a first class scout about a year and a half into scouting, and asked our scoutmaster about it and said, no one's done either the Adultari Day or the second installment, the Pope Pius XII Award emblem, in a long time that he can remember. So I got together quite a few, I mean like the 4 Catholic scouts that were in our troop, and I called up our local diocese scouting chapter, and they got us hooked up with the books, and we started to go through the program. And it's one of the, I guess, the fonder memories I have of religion. Never really liked going to a Catholic school, and it really wasn't for me. But the time I was probably most religious in my life was during the time I was in scouting. I think in large part due to being active and involved in this program here, learning more about the theology and the religion. We did it with a priest who was actually from Nigeria, Father Pius. It was an interesting experience on its own, just because not just for the content involved in it, but also for learning about what it was like being Catholic in a country in a Muslim majority country, and at this time, Boko Haram, the Islamic terrorist group from Nigeria, was just starting to get things going in that country and started targeting civilian populations in churches. So it was interesting learning kind of the differences of being a Catholic in America versus being a Catholic in Africa, and how much of a drastic difference it is. Really, are much more hardcore. Catholics in America are kind of lazy compared to Catholics in Africa. Actually, Catholics pretty much everywhere are kind of lazy compared to Catholics in Africa. But as far as the actual program went, I did learn quite a bit about what it meant to hold like a reverence of God in your normal everyday life. But I guess it never really stuck.